still walk away as friends, and I loved the reactions that I saw, and it looks like we have something that we should probably replicate. This was Eton Thomas's idea. He's the mastermind behind all of this. He reached out to me to do this, and I'm always happy to do stuff with him because he's a good person. And so we're gonna actually go to Tulsa next week and do the same thing, at a church. I don't know which church. Eton picked the church, and so we may do this in some other places, maybe Atlanta or Chicago or something like that. So I'll keep you guys posted on what that looks like and how that goes. And I know a lot of you came out to see us in DC, and so it was great to see all of you too. And so I'll keep you guys posted. And it was really kind of a passion project for me because we didn't, it wasn't a money thing. We didn't, nobody got paid to do anything, and it wasn't recorded. But maybe we can arrange that at some point. But it was really fun because I feel like the country needs that. I think that we need to share ideas. I'm gonna tell you like this: if you ever want to raise red flags with me, if you ever want me to get suspicious of you and give you the side eye, if you ever want me to look at you like you might be a crook or a criminal or a dirty, dirty, dirty dog, then all you got to do is say, don't ask no questions. Like, stop asking questions. Stop questioning things. Say, no, the more, if you tell me not to question something, I'm going to question it twice as hard now. Now you really got me curious. Now you really gonna open the Pandora's box because nobody who ever works in your favor is going to tell you to not ask questions. Like, no one who has your best interest at heart is ever going to tell you, like, no, you don't get any information. Just do what you're told. Shit, you go ahead and do that if you want to. Do what you're told in a capitalist society, and they will lead you right into a damn ditch. Capitalism is not your friend. America will exploit you. It's not a terrible place all the time. I don't believe that. But if you are enough of a sucker to simply do as you're told, especially if you're black, you're begging to be exploited. You're begging to be pimped. You're begging to be hurt. You're begging to be dragged into somebody else's agenda. And so, if you want to know where my position was on most of the topics, we hit a lot of the hot button stuff. A lot of political stuff, everything from ICE to the Bad Bunny performance at the Super Bowl to just what's going on. And my whole position was really simple. It's like, okay, like I get it. Like, we're being asked to look out for everybody else, but my question is real simple. Like, who's gonna look out for black people? That's it. Like, okay, who's everybody with they like, go over here. We gotta fight for the illegal immigrants. Go over here. We gotta fight for the Democrats. Go over here. We gotta fight for I'm like, okay, who's looking out for us? That's it. That's all I ask. And I don't think that's an unreasonable question. I think that's not a radical idea. Look, caring about yourself, taking care of you. I said, your children can't even read at grade level. And you out here fighting for everybody else, and your kids can't read. Your children are begging white folks for a job. Your family wealth is down to zero. You ain't even got no estate plan to protect grandma's house. Your little cousin got shot in the street. Your other cousin just went to jail. Your other cousin ain't got no daddy. And you out here fighting for other people? What the hell is wrong with you? What's wrong with you? Like the reason you ain't got nothing is because you giving it all away. So, and again, don't tell me I'm wrong because I look at other groups and ain't nobody putting you at the top of their priority list. You don't have a income or resources problem. You have a self-esteem problem. I mean, there's no you go to the Asian community, the Cuban community, the Mexican community, the Arab community, the Jewish community, and you ain't gonna find nobody in that community saying, I'm gonna spend more time fighting for black folks than I'm fighting for my own people. You will not find that. You will not find that, sir. And anyone who has that ideology will be defined as having a clear mental illness. So just because a dumb idea is popular does not make it a good idea. A dumb idea doesn't become a good idea just because everybody's trained to be stupid. And when I say stupid, I'm not talking about you. I'm not talking about him or her. I'm talking about us. Because I was raised a little bit stupid. That's the slave mentality. That's kind of big for us. And so we got some work to do. So that was my whole position. My position was like, okay, all right, yeah, I shot the lady, and that's bad. I don't want nobody. I don't want no ladies getting shot. Nobody getting shot. I said, but did you know that 140 people were shot in Chicago in the last 40 days? Were you outraged about that? Where's the protest for that? Is anybody shedding tears for that? Is there, like, where's the march and the rally? Where's the I don't see it. I'm looking for the so let me just stop. let me quit. Let's talk about money and wealth and stuff. All right, so here's something I wanted to talk about. A lot of you saw. I don't know if you, how many of you give me a yes if you saw this. Maybe you didn't. It's not a big story, but I saw my good friend Tasha K was talking about this, where Beyonce and Jay-Z have been borrowing lots of money, right? And they're mortgaging their house and getting second mortgages and everything else, in order to do whatever they're doing with their money, right? Has anybody seen that where there's like a lot of where they're borrowing lots of money and people are saying, is Beyonce broke? Is Jay-Z and Beyonce, are they having problems financially? Is the empire crumbling? Right. And so Tasha K, who is my friend, she's a blogger online. She gets in a lot of trouble. She's a nice lady. I've talked to her a few bunch of times. She interpreted this in a certain way. I think that she seemed to feel that this could be an implication that perhaps their empire is crumbling a little bit, that they're not doing as well financially as they appear to be. And while that's certainly possible, I mean, I told you we talked about the Floyd Mayweather scenario, and he's being sued for non-payment by a lot of people. That is certainly a possibility. Anybody can go broke. But actually, one of the things that I didn't hear mentioned that I thought might be worth discussing is perhaps it could be something more reasonable. Like maybe they're not going broke and they're actually using a strategy that wealthy people use to avoid taxes, not to evade taxes. Tax evasion is illegal. Tax avoidance is considered smart. So this strategy, which you may or may not have heard of, how many of you have heard of the buy, borrow, and die strategy? Has anybody heard about that? Buy, borrow, and die. Let me know if you've heard of this. Give me a yes or no in the chat. Has anybody heard? Who's heard of buy, borrow, and die? Okay, I'm seeing a lot of yeses, and I see a couple of nos. And even for the yeses, let's just kind of review that really quickly, because I think this could be what's going on here. So what a lot of wealthy people do is see. Here's the thing about taxes in America. Here's what you need to know that tells you everything that you've ever wondered about whether or not America's rigged. If you believe that America's rigged, the answer is absolutely yes. If you believe it's a scam, the answer is absolutely yes. If you think that the rich people are playing you like a fiddle, or trying to anyway, the answer is absolutely yes. Capitalism is the economic jungle. It is survival of the fittest. It is the place where nobody's going to save you, so you must save yourself. And so part of the reason that I get up every morning and I talk to thousands of you every day to do my best to contribute is because it's because ain't nobody else going to really talk to you about this. Not in public school anyway. Not require you to learn these things because wealthy people don't benefit if everybody learns how to be wealthy, right? They're not gonna, that's competition. Like one of the rules of wealth, unfortunately, in capitalism is you don't create your own competition. You don't make things harder for yourself, right? So basically, taxes are paid by working people. Taxes are paid by people who are used to the idea that you go to a job, you get a check, they take a percentage of your check as withholding, and you pay your taxes. And everybody believes that this is what you're supposed to do. People that are investors, people that are wealth builders, kind of go to a different level. They'll form an LLC, which means you can write off damn near everything. Like if your life is your business, which was true for a lot of people, where your family's working in the business and you're working on the business all the time, and every trip you take is a kind of a business trip. You'll see those people writing everything off. So it's now remember, a tax write-off does not mean that you're not paying taxes. It doesn't mean that it's free. Right, so stop thinking that. Don't ever make when people say, "Oh, he can just write it off. It's free." No, it's not free. It's not free. It's like discounting, right? It's like somebody saying, "Okay, everybody else is going to pay $400 for this plane ticket, but you're going to pay $250. Everybody else is going to pay, $40,000 for this car. You're going to pay 30,000, right? Right. So it's like having this real big coupon that you get to use, and you get to apply to everything that you do. So, in fact, when people are flying private jets and stuff like that, a lot of that's got to be a hell of a write-off because have you ever seen the cost of jets and planes and all that? It's very expensive. It's very expensive to have a jet. That's why a lot of NBA players that buy jets. Ask Scottie Pippen, he bought a jet, and it damn near it pushed him into bankruptcy because it's not buying the jet that's overwhelming. It's flying the damn thing. These things will cost $5,000, $10,000 an hour to fly, and so you take a few trips to see your friends. Next thing you know you're in the hole, right? To deal with that, it's got to be a tax shelter. So when people buy something big like a jet, number one of the things that you can thank your president for this. One of the things that Trump did was he allowed business owners to depreciate I think 100% of the asset in the first year. So you buy that jet and you can get a massive, massive tax shelter that basically cuts your taxes dramatically that first year. Second of all, you have all the expenses that you're paying for the jet, for the pilot, for the fuel, everything else. Jet fuel is super expensive. It's like some of these jets use hundreds of gallons of fuel per hour, right? So you're just spending thousands of dollars flying this thing. Well, they put that in their expenses and they get to write it off, so it doesn't make it free, but it makes it cheaper, right? So anyway, just to sort of review that in terms of the buy, borrow, and die thing. Basically, what the wealthy people will do is they'll acquire lots of assets. So remember, to be rich, number one rule of being rich, not number one, but top five for sure, is you must acquire stuff. Right? You must have something to show for it. So if you're working your butt off and working every single day, it's incredibly important that you ensure that you are accumulating assets as you go along. I talked to a 19-year-old yesterday when I was at Bowie State, and if you're with another HBCU or something, and you want me anytime to come to your institution, or you have a church and you want us to come there, and you want to help us get that done, let me know. I think a time would be happy to bring the panel to your institution. It was really good. It was really the community seemed to like it. But anyway, I was talking to this young lady who's 19 years old, and I told her, I said, don't make the same mistake that I made. I said, the biggest mistake I made when I was your age is that I did not start accumulating assets. I thought I was too young to invest. I thought investing was for older people or people that had good jobs, people that had good money. And I wish if I could go back in time, I would have bought whatever I could. And she literally told me, it was so cute. She literally told me she had bought $7 worth of stock. And I said, okay, good for you. You invest your $7, and then when you get some more money, you get you another $7 worth of stock, right? And because here's the thing, I told her, I said, Apple stock is $250 or whatever. I said, when I was your age, Apple stock probably cost like $2. So even if I'd bought just a little bit of the Apple stock, I would have ended up, making like a lot of money from that, right? And I was like, ah, dang it. I wish I'd known this in the early 90s, but nobody said it. Nobody talked to us about it. Now, and by the way, before I move on, some of you are asking how do we get in touch with you? If you want to reach out, keep this email address. If you ever want anything from us, you want to partner with us, or maybe you want to sponsor something in the Black Business School because you like what we're doing and you're doing well. Being in Bowie, which is in Prince George's County, I keep meeting all these millionaire Black people. I don't know where y'all are at, but you know what? This is an HBCU that could use some support. So hey, the email address, let me tell you, the email address is support@theblackbusinessschool.com. That's support@theblackbusinessschool.com. Now, just so you know, we don't solicit donations, but if you want to support, then sign up for something or sponsor another student. Just say, here's some money, you know, pay for some other people who can't afford it, whatever. The money will be put to good use, and we can, just like a university, like we can tell you where your endowment is going and who it's helping, and we can name things after you. So we can do all these things. So feel free to email support@theblackbusinessschool.com if you believe in what we're doing and you want to support what's happening. And the idea here too is what I like about what we're doing is I see that we're getting results. And the reason I know we're getting results is because I like data. I like watching things get done. I don't like a whole lot of hooting and hollering, a whole lot of we shall overcome stuff where nothing actually happens and nothing actually changes. When I talk to you, I'm telling you, when you meet me, I'm specifically listening for transformation. I'm listening to hear something that you got from us that has made your life better, that has put more money in your pocket. And so for those of you that are in that category, give me a yes if you're in the category. Give me a yes if you have made more money, if your life is better, if something has improved. I want to see those yeses. That's what fuels me. That's what excites me because it tells me that we're running hard and we're getting down the freaking road. We're running hard and we're moving down the road. We got Negroes on treadmills up in this damn thing. I don't want to be a Negro on a treadmill. I'm not a hamster on a cage. I'm not, that's not my goal. My goal is not, man, I ain't carrying around all this cortisol for nothing. I ain't trying to be exhausted for nothing. If I'm gonna be exhausted, I like to look back and say, whew, I'm tired, but we traveled 800 miles. I don't want to be like, I'm exhausted and we went backward. Like, no, you must measure whether you're making progress. So anyway, that's one of the things that I love about what we're doing is that we're able to show like, okay, we got more people that are not just doing well, but are independently doing well, meaning that you're not tethered to an oppressive system in order to get access to resources. I'm not a person that's out here trying to just show you how to get a better job. That's good. No problem with that. I mean, there's nothing wrong with working for other people, but there's a big difference between working for people because you want to versus working for other people because you have to. My goal is to help you to have options in your life, help you to have freedom in your life, help you to have sovereignty in your life, help you to have security in your life, help you to build legacy in your life. Like all these things that a powerful community does, right? So anyway, long story short, if you're in that category and you've seen the results and you like the results, and let's say that you went out and did something that we were talking about and you made them an extra $1 million, the best gift you could give is like, email our team and say, hey, I want to give to someone else what Dr. Boyce or what the Black Business School gave to me. And I'm not telling anybody what to do. I'm just saying like that does help. And we actually put things to use and get things done. And you've seen the results. And I'd love to get those results for people who don't necessarily have the resources because we do have people on all sides of the income spectrum here. We've got those that are struggling. Then we got those that literally, we have billionaires. We literally, right here in this room, there are people that I've talked to that have like over $1 billion in resources. There was one, in fact, actually, when I was in LA one time, it was a crazy story. I was looking for this mall. It was a Westfield Mall or something. That's how ignorant I am. Everybody knows what Westfield Mall is in LA, apparently, except for me. And so I pulled up to this stoplight, and I was going to meet actually a good guy named Daryl something. I can't remember his last name, but he's a great guy. He was on a different world. He's a really really nice guy. He played Ron, Dwayne's best friend, and his father was into finances, and he also has an affiliation with Syracuse. And so we were going to meet for lunch. Daryl Bell, thank you, Kendall. I appreciate that. Yeah, Daryl Bell, and I'm bad with names, but I love Daryl. Anyway, so I pulled up to this stoplight, and there's a guy. He had a sign up. It was like, like we'll work for food or something, right? It was, but he was black, and I said, hey, brother, how do I find the Westfield Mall or maybe it was the Fox Hills Mall? I don't remember, one of the two. Anyway, and he goes, hey, Dr. Boyce. I said, hey, what's up, man? He said, yeah, I signed up for your class. I said, wait, but you're on the street asking for money, man. Don't use your money to pay for our class. Like, let me give you your money back. But that was so funny. I was like, wow, that's so cool though. Like this dude, but I don't want you I want you to have a place to stay. So anyway, that was wild. So anyway, let's get back to Bob Borrow and Die. Let's talk about that so we don't get too sidetracked. All right, so basically what the wealthy do when they're trying to avoid taxes and get ahead financially, they will acquire assets. That's rule number one. If you want to be wealthy, you got to acquire stuff. Don't just make a bunch of income. The income must convert into assets somehow. The easiest assets to buy are stocks. You can get you an app right now and just start buying stock right now. In fact, we're going to meet for a stock market class today at noon. So if you want to come in and ask questions and stuff like that and talk to me about what you want to invest in, feel free to come in. And in fact, actually, I'll share a link now. The stock market class, the annual fee is $9.99. And for the next couple of days, you can actually get it for 71% off. So I'll put the link in here if anybody wants to join. So literally drops it to like $2.99 a year or something like that, and you get access to all the curriculum and the sessions and everything. So the link is there in the chat. So feel free to click on that, and you can join us this afternoon. We're going to meet today. All right. And so literally stock is the easiest asset to acquire. The next easiest might be like real estate, which does require a little bit of preparation and work, but there are different ways to buy real estate, maybe in little pieces where you can do a real estate investment trust. You can buy those right there on the stock market. And a lot of people don't know you can get into real estate through the stock market. You don't actually have to go and buy property and take a class and all that. Although you can do that if you want to be a landlord. But if you don't want to be a landlord and you want to get into real estate, then there's easier ways to do it. But if you want to be a landlord, then by God, go do it. Real estate investment trust, REITs. That's super easy. I sent you all a list of some REITs that I like the most. I'll try to find this and share it with you before we get done. And the most difficult way I think to acquire resources is probably running a business because that doesn't just require your money, but it also takes up a lot of your time and a lot of your energy. And if you're doing a business you don't like, you're kind of giving away years of your life, kind of droning away at this task that you don't even enjoy that much. And that just kind of sucks. So I'm not telling you not to do it. I'm just saying if you do it, I would pick something that isn't just a way to make money. I would pick something that's a pleasant way to make money. And that goes a long way, right? So but anyway, so as you're acquiring these things, the next thing you do is you acquire assets that are actually going up in value. So if you have assets that are appreciating, which unfortunately, the worst thing you could do financially is when you accumulate debt to acquire assets that are depreciating, like people that borrow money to buy cars or clothes and stuff like that, or going out to eat. Like you get a bunch of credit card debt, for stuff that doesn't amount to anything. You're kind of accumulating like this really almost like an invisible. It's like you're paying a mortgage, but you don't have a house. Basically, you're literally it's like almost like artificial debt to some extent because you say, well, what are you paying on? Like, what asset are you paying on? Is this asset generating income for you, or generating wealth? Is it going up in value? And if you have, 50,000 in credit card debt, 9 times out of 10 that it's not generating income. Even a student loan is better because at least from a student loan, you can maybe say, I've got this job because I went to school. Not everybody can say that. A lot of people are not working in the field that they went to school for, or maybe they have jobs that didn't actually require a college degree. It kind of depends. But ultimately, whatever you're paying debt on should be something that is generating either income or capital gains, right? That's the measuring stick. So wealthy people will accumulate stuff, and then the assets are going up in value. And what happens is that when they want to get money, they use a little loophole. They go and they don't actually take the income from the asset or sell the asset. They actually just will borrow against it, right? Remember, collateral is more valuable than credit. Credit scores are just a replacement for people that don't have collateral. It's kind of like your good character becomes the collateral, or your future income streams become the collateral, and that's not enough to really get you what you want a lot of times. Collateral means you've got an asset, and if you don't pay, you have to give me the asset. And in fact, sometimes it's so crazy and sinister that people will loan you money knowing that you probably can't pay it back, and people think that they're loaning you money because they love your business idea. No, they're not loaning you money because they believe in your dream. They loan you money because they want your collateral. They're like, we don't, not only do we not care if you pay it back, we actually hope that you don't, because your collateral is so valuable and you made such a really nice deal with us that if you default, then we actually are in a better position than we would have been if you'd paid the loan back. That's what's going on. If you watch that show Landman, on the show Landman, it's with Billy Bob Thornton. That's what's going on. The guy loans her $350 million, and he's like, well, why would you loan so much money if you don't think that what she's going to do is going to work out? He's like, I don't care. I want the collateral, right? So he's like, yeah, I'll loan her the money. Yeah, just make sure you don't pay us back now, right? So collateral is really a way to kind of get access to things, right? People that have collateral don't have a problem when people that have collateral don't have a problem when it comes to getting a loan. Now, Calvin says, speak about the finale when Billy Bob's character bossed up. Yeah, well, you can watch it. It's a good show. At the end, yeah, he just ends up quitting and starts his own business and stuff, and it's kind of a cool scene. So, and in fact, actually, Billy Bob Thornton is an interesting guy to me because this weekend, I was my wife's friend. Her name is Cinda Williams. Came by my mother-in-law's house, and Cinda was married to Billy Bob Thornton. And Cinda I was kind of excited because Cinda sang. She was in the movie Mo Better Blues, and Mo Better Blues. If you remember the Spike Lee movie, she played the Spike one of Denzel's girlfriends, and she sang that song Harlem Blues, which to me is one of the greatest songs of all time, most beautiful song ever. And so just so you know, I'm gonna have a 55th birthday party. It's gonna be the goal is to make it like this awesome experience and on a cruise ship, and I'm gonna invite you guys if you want to come. And and I asked her, I told Alicia, I said, should I ask her if she'll sing the song at my birthday? And I was like, Cindy, will you sing Mo Better? Yeah. And I'm like a little kid. I'm like, will you sing Harlem Blues at my birthday party? She's like, of course. Yeah. I'm like, wow. So yeah, so that song. Have you ever heard it? It's so good. You can never tell what's in a man's mind, but if he's from Harlem, there's no use in even trying. Yeah, it's beautiful, right? Anyway, one of a kind. So Cinda's a very nice lady, by the way. A super nice lady. Very talented, of course. But anyway, with that being said, one thing I want to mention. Let's get back to this. So she was married to Billy Bob. It's a whole thing. But anyway, so. And I'll tell you guys when my birthday's in June, by the way, and and the party will either be in Chicago or Miami. It depends on where we can get the ship that's big enough to hold like 100 people, stuff like that. So I'll keep you posted. All right. So anyway, one of the things I wanted to mention here too is if you want a list of my 7 favorite real estate investment trusts, there's the list there. And that's a great way to get into real estate without actually having to go out and buy real estate. So don't think you got to go buy a house to be a real estate investor. You just have to buy a real estate investment trust. It's easy. It's very straightforward. Now, so what will happen with wealthy people after they accumulate the asset is when they need money, they just borrow against the asset because now you've got something better than credit. You've got collateral. So collateral means you can go into the bank and they're not going to be like, well, how long have you been at your last job and how long have you lived at your house? And like they don't do all that. They just are like, okay, you're telling me you have 100,000 in stock. Okay, we'll loan you the 50,000. It's like much simpler process. And so then what they do is they'll use those loans to kind of fund their lifestyle or fund other business ventures. And a lot of the interest on the loan is repaid through existing cash flow. Maybe their existing businesses or whatever can pay some of the loan or whatever, right? And long story short, what this does is it allows them to do what's really super important for wealthy people, which is holding on to your asset. Remember, I told you getting the ball is hard. Holding on to the ball is harder, right? And that's really important. Like getting grandma's house may have been a heck of an accomplishment, but holding on to grandma's house is where we fumbled the ball. A lot of us have, like our family, we lost the house that our grandparents lived in for 60 years because of basic protections that could have been put in place. And I just didn't know what was going on. I was young at the time. I wish I had known what was happening. I would have obviously stepped in. But long story short, once it's gone, sometimes it's gone. It gets gentrified, and the values now triple what it was before, and stuff like that. So it's kind of wild. So anyway, with that being said, at that point, when you talk about wealth transfer, you then use things like trusts that where you can transfer the assets into a trust, and then that leads to an intergenerational transfer without probate, which is a big deal. And your kids then get to take over the asset with what they call a stepped up basis. So basically, what that means, economically speaking, is that the child does not pay for the sins of the father. The child does not pay for the capital gains of the father. So all of the capital gains that came in throughout the lifetime of your parent you're not paying taxes on that when the child inherits these assets, right? So they bought the house for 50,000. It's now worth 1 million. That 950,000 ends up not getting taxed because the child receives this $1 million house, and the only taxes they'll end up paying, if they ever pay taxes, is anything above 1 million, which is just kind of crazy. It's sinister. It's crooked, it's corrupt, it's wrong, it's unfair. But y'all know by now, I hope you know by now, that life just ain't fair. Life is not fair. Now, one thing I'll mention, let's do a digital field trip to go to Instagram. I'm going to show you something real quick. And also, don't forget that tonight we're going to do the deep dive on silver, how to safely invest in silver, just different use cases for silver, different projections in terms of what's going to happen with silver, things you got to watch out for if you want to invest in silver. And that's going to be tonight at 8:30. Here is a link. I'm putting the link in the chat. So feel free to click on that. I'll also text it out to you. If you want to get the text messages for this class, make sure you're on the text list. You can get on the text list by texting the word morning to the number 87948. So make sure you text morning to 87948. We do this every single morning because freedom ain't free, and we got to pay the price every day to be great. All right, so what I'm going to show you is some stuff on Instagram. First off, you saw that I put this little post up about the blood sacrifices and the whole Epstein files, and how literally I was like, oh, the blood sacrifice, we are the blood sacrifice, right? All the stuff that you see in our music, all the trauma and everything is kind of crazy, right? Who else celebrates death and homicide and incarceration and everything else? It's kind of ridiculous. But then let's move to the next one. There's something else I wanted to show you. Let me hit this button. All right. Oh, here's a little cartoon. I did this little kids thing. And if you like it, I can maybe have more of these done to maybe, because I believe deeply, we deeply, deeply, deeply have to teach the next generation about wealth. One of the wealth hacks out there is you should not let your child learn about finances when they're 25 or 35 years old. They should be learning about finances when they're 5. So I just threw out like this little cute little story just to see how you guys felt about it. So let's see. Here it goes. And so let me play it.
Field trip day, and everyone was super excited. Jasmine and Malik rushed outside, but suddenly, oops, kids were panicking everywhere. No snacks, no water, no sunscreen. Jasmine grabbed the clipboard and gasped. Everything was missing, and the bus was about to leave. But then something incredible happened. Mutual funds appeared calm, strong, and ready to help. Everyone worked together, tossing supplies into the team pack backpack, water bottles, snacks, napkins, sunscreen. Then suddenly, one kid tried to grab the biggest snack bag, but mutual funds raised a hand and said, "Hey, we share. Everyone gets a part." And just like that, everything felt better. Then cash popped in like a superhero. With emergency money and bonds arrived too, wise and steady, bringing a map and a first aid kit. Now everything was ready, just in time. The checklist lit up: water check, snacks check, sunscreen check, map check. Jasmine and Malik smiled proudly. Because when everyone works together, nobody gets left behind, and that's the power of teamwork and smart planning. Lesson: when everyone puts in a little, everybody has enough.
Okay, so what did you think about that? Were you guys able to hear that? Let me know if you're able to hear that. And I'll if you like it, we'll do some more stuff. And if you want to understand that lesson there, it was basically if you look at the three investment vehicles that the children are introduced to, which think about this, think about how many people you know who are grown-ups who don't know anything about bonds, who don't know anything about mutual funds, right? So literally in that context, you can have a discussion with your child and say, okay, why was mutual funds there? Like, what was the problem? Like, what was the problem they were trying to solve? Well, what they were trying to solve was a children's version of a liquidity problem. Or we have a need. We have to be prepared for the future, and we're not ready. We ain't got what we need. We're it's a childlike version of what a lot of adults go through. Like life is coming at me. I'm not ready for life, right? We don't have enough food. We don't have security. We might get evicted. We're worried, right? So ultimately, they're in this situation where they're really kind of a childlike version of economic desperation or financial anxiety. Like, holy crap, I'm going forward in life. I don't have what I need. We don't have no snacks. We ain't got no water. What we gonna do? So mutual funds comes in, and mutual funds is all about sharing and spreading things out. And when you buy a mutual fund, you're not buying one stock, you're buying multiple stocks at the same time. Also, mutual funds, by consistently investing in mutual funds, you're giving financial security, right? And then cash provides what? Liquidity. Right. So cash just says, hey, here you go. Here's some money, and you can now buy what you need and get what you want, and you're going to be prepared to move forward in life. And then you throw in bonds, same thing. Bonds is a safer version of what a mutual fund might provide, right? It provides consistent cash flows. Everything, bonds and stocks and mutual funds are all valued with the same model. The difference is that they have different levels of risk. So bonds provide consistent, steady cash flow. That's why the bonds are the old, mature, consistent man, right? That kind of brings in stability, right? So you have the bond side of your portfolio to kind of balance everything out and keep you safe in tough times. And then you have the mutual fund side, which can provide balance and diversification. Cash provides liquidity. So ultimately, what I'm thinking is like maybe we can lay this out, make this part of our Black Millionaires of Tomorrow program, and then sort of give you guidelines on how to discuss this with your kids. I think that might be fun. So if you guys, it looks like you guys like it, so I'll do more, and we'll kind of talk you through it and help you in whatever it is you're trying to accomplish with your kids. So yeah, so great. Thank you for giving your feedback on that. And also the website, kittyboss.com, there's a training there called How to Turn Your Child into a Millionaire. So feel free to go to kittyboss.com. That's it's pretty straightforward. It's just most people don't know what to do. All right, so let's keep going. All right. So yeah, this was wild. You can go to my Instagram and watch that. I'm not even gonna play that. I did do a video about AI now hiring humans. I think we talked about that. Yeah, there's that website, rentahuman.ai, where the AIs are actually hiring humans. We talked about that yesterday, so I'm not going to talk about it again today, but it's worth looking into. Now, this was something that I thought was interesting in terms of what violent hip hop did to loving black communities, and I think it's really important to understand these things when you're talking about black wealth. Right, when you're talking about like where did the wealth go? Like why do black people lose assets? Why is everything going backward? Well, you think about this, right? You had wonderful neighborhoods like South Central LA where people owned homes and raised good kids and had good families, and the property values are going up, and then suddenly you've got chaos and violence in the neighborhood. Well, what is that going to do to the property value? What's going to happen to the value of homes in that community? It's going to start dropping, right? This is kind of like a quick little rendition of like visually, like I think there's a part of me that might be a little bit of an artist. I don't know, but I'll feel things emotionally, and I'll be like, it kind of makes me feel like you're in a nice neighborhood, and then suddenly there's like a storm. So here's what So notice the subtlety here, right? So the kids are playing, everything's fun and good and safe, and then suddenly there's a storm cloud that arrives, and nobody knows where it's coming from. It becomes almost like an episode of Stranger Things, where you're like, where is this coming from, right? And I just imagine how those poor people in South Central felt when it's like, okay, in the 1970s, everything's stable and safe and good, and then suddenly you got 13-year-olds running around with AK-47s, and you have crackheads like pay attention to the subtle change in the mother's face. It goes from being a regular smiley face to being like almost like an evil, scary face. And that makes me think about the way when crack came along, that was the first drug that could ever have such an impact on a mother that she abandoned her own children. Like that bond between mother and child is one of the strongest bonds known to man. And the fact that there was a drug, a chemical that could break that bond between mother and child is absolutely sinister. My daughter went to Columbia, and she had a good friend whose mother was on crack. And she said, "Yeah, when I was 4 years old, 5 years old, me and my little sister, who was two, used to be at home by ourselves for 3 days in a row." So she said, "That's how I learned how to cook. Is because my mama was gone, and she was out getting high, right, for 3 days in a row." So in a way, it's like the face on the mother to me. It signifies what happened to that mother-child bond. Like your mother's this wonderful, loving, nurturing person, and then suddenly this drug, it literally makes her demonic almost, right? It's like a demon possession almost, right? So look at this. Watch. So I'll play it again. So anyway, that's just something small. But yeah, it's something to think about, right? If you want to talk about black wealth, if you want to talk about reparations, you got to remember black people are owed reparations for a lot of terrible things that people did to us. It wasn't just slavery, right? It wasn't just being kidnapped from our home countries or, and being brought to this strange place. It isn't just Jim Crow. It isn't just the rapes and the mutilations and having our assets stolen. It wasn't just mass incarceration. It wasn't just the crack era. It wasn't like there's a long list of things that strategically occur, redlining. I mean, everything you can name it. There's so many things. So really, at the end of the day, the question then becomes, at what point is somebody really going to fight for this? I'm not fighting for you, and if you ain't gonna fight for me, I'm just not gonna do it. So I think it's absolutely sinister that there are people who think that we're being radical or rude by expecting someone to help us repair this. So at the very least, I don't expect anybody to fix it. I think we can fix this on our own. It comes an awareness issue, right? Dealing with the trauma, right? A lot of you, for example, how many of you had drug addicts in your family? How many of you had alcoholics in your family? How many of you have come from a broken family? How many of you have families that were fractured by incarceration, right? You need healing for that, right? You need to, like you got to go and you find out your trauma score. You learn the process of healing because this chaos, you can't build wealth in the middle of chaos. It's like you're asking me to go build wealth in a community where everybody's traumatized and half crazy is it's like asking somebody to grow flowers in soil that's got glass in it and that's frozen like Antarctica and somebody and it's got poison in the soil. Like you can't grow good fruit out of unhealthy soil. So when the whole community starts just getting so chaotic that everybody's in survival mode, you can't, it's hard to be an investor when you're always in survival mode. It just doesn't work. When you're in survival mode, your prefrontal cortex is significantly disabled. In the prefrontal cortex is the difference between you and a dog. Like that, the prefrontal cortex is how you make a long-term plan and stick to it. The prefrontal cortex and the ability to calm yourself and remind yourself that you're not in danger is essential for you to be a good investor because when you see the stocks going down, you don't go into a trauma response. So the therapy and everything else is a really big deal in terms of us being able to really move forward in a productive way. So no, people wonder like, well, will you ever stop talking about these things? I'm like, no, because this is a wealth conversation. You killed those property values when you let all those drugs in those communities and had all that violence. The oldest trick in the book, that happens when it comes to gentrification is they will go and do police raids in neighborhoods where they want to own the properties because they know nobody wants to live in a neighborhood where there are police raids and crack houses and people getting shot. So there is a theory, and I don't doubt that it's true, that when they want to go and take a neighborhood, maybe through eminent domain or whatever, that there might be people, theoretically, you can imagine this happening where they say, let's go in here and create some chaos so nobody will want to live there. Even the black people there will leave. And then we can go acquire the property cheaply, make it safe again, increase the value of the asset, and boom, that makes us rich. So just being aware of that, it just kind of it makes me mad. It makes me really mad because they stole our stuff and they don't want to acknowledge it. So as far as I'm concerned, don't be asking me. When politicians come around, hey, can I come and talk? No, get out of my face, man. You ain't helping us fix nothing. If you ain't helping us fix something, if you ain't helping us solve the damn problem, then please just get out of my way so we can get this done. And I do believe we can get it done. I believe the job is going to be on us. I don't believe anybody's going to save us, and so we have to decide if we're going to save ourselves, but it's going to take our full attention and our fullest effort. Okay, all right. So let me go. Let's go back again. Let's go a little further. Let's see what's next. What else did Boyce post on his Instagram? My Instagram is Dr. Boyce Finance, by the way, if you want to follow there. Also, I'm on Spotify. I have a couple of podcasts on Spotify, so if you follow there or and give it like a rating, I think that helps your podcast get discovered. So feel free to do that if you could. That would be helpful. All right. So what else? Oh, this is interesting. I'm not going to play this. But this is a really good video where basically Kennedy was explaining how the Ukraine, like they'll announce we're going to give $100 billion to Ukraine, and everybody's like, why don't you give $100 billion to Detroit? Like give $100 billion, to black people, but they'll be like, we're going to give $100 billion to Ukraine because somehow for whatever reason we care about what's happening in this country that most people can't even point to on a map. He explains how it's basically a money laundering operation where people are milking, corporations are milking the federal government. This is a big problem in America, right? This is why you shouldn't let capitalism into your political system because capitalism is inherently about sort of the worship of money to some extent. So when the capitalism gets in, the corporations they get their politicians elected, and the politicians will fund a war in Ukraine. Well, that money circles right back to the some of these defense contractors, right? So the defense contractors, like, yeah, when we get you elected, we need you to keep stirring shit up over in Ukraine or whatever, and then when countries join NATO, they have to meet certain standards on their weapons systems to be part of NATO, and the company that's going to do that is going to be Lockheed Martin or Raytheon or Boeing or whatever, right? So ultimately, this is how they might this might explain like why we would give so much money to Ukraine when literally, if you go ask the American people, you take a poll, like, what would you rather do? Spend $100 billion on the American people or spend $100 billion on this country across the world? We know what the answer would be. So that's interesting. So feel free to check that out. Oh, this is something I put up to help us understand the connection between present and future. This is again that prefrontal cortex, and so literally, when I thought about my own life, most of everything that I had, my 55th birthday is coming. So literally, most of what I have at 55 actually started when I was 20, 25 years old. So this is a big lesson for young people. I really want you to reach out to young people or children, grandchildren, etc. that that and bring them to class with you. Maybe give them $10 to show up or so, whatever you got to do, because I really need them to be prepared for to take over leadership, in the space that we operate. And at the All Black National Convention, we specifically have a children's track where we give children awards and certificates, and we have everybody clap for them and give them that self-esteem and validation that they need from their community, so they don't have to go through the world looking for love in all the wrong places. They don't have to go out and beg society to acknowledge them. We acknowledge them, and we do that every year at the convention. The children get a certificate, everybody cheers and goes crazy, and it creates a memory for the kids. The other thing that we have is something we've had for a while, but we're reigniting this. We're doubling down on our investment in something called Young, Black, and Rich. And Young, Black, and Rich is for that millennial Gen Z space, right? 18 to 32. I think millennials are now over 32, so it's not millennials, so it's Gen Z, and they run the show. They run all of that. And Constance Carter's kids, like her son, who had over $100,000 in stock by the time he was 15 years old, he's now in his 20s. He's one of the leaders. And we got some others like Jeff Lightsey Jr. And his brother Kanan, who are both investors and everything else. And so the goal is to make sure that we don't just focus on us old folks. Like we got to really invest heavily in our kids because our kids are our greatest asset. So this post just kind of speaks the obvious, right? Lifelong health problems at 60, they start when you're 25. You're young and healthy, so you think you can drink and eat and smoke and do whatever, and then you get to be 60, and next thing you know, your wealth is being drained because you're giving all your money over to big pharma, you're giving all your money to the hospital, you're paying all your money for the surgeries, right? Like they will drain all of your wealth when you get older. Um, Asking kids for money at 70, becoming financially dependent on your children at 70, it starts when you're 30, right? You have to invest when you're young in order to do well when you're older. You can't start just investing when you're older. You start when you're young. And some of us may have made that mistake, and it's okay if to make mistakes. You do your best to fix it. But the reality is that that can't continue, right? There has to be something that tethers you to your future. There has to be something where that 30-year-old can see, like, okay, I cannot, this is where consciousness comes into play. This is why I talk so much about consciousness. Consciousness is where you say, okay, I'm not just conscious of seeing myself at 30. I'm conscious of seeing myself at 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60, and I'm committed to that. See, here's the thing. Two things. One, Sun Tzu in The Art of War has a really interesting saying where he says that battles are not won on the battlefield. Battles are won before they even start. Battles are won before they begin. Battles are won through preparation. Battles are won. If you're a football player, you know there's usually sometimes there's a big sign that says, championships are won in the weight room, right? Like, battles are won before they begin. It comes from preparation. So that's true with investing, true with wealth, true with winning in life. People that win in the year 2026 are not people who started preparing in 2026. People that are winning in 2026 are people that were preparing in 2016. So the people that are going to win in 2036 are the people that are preparing in 2026. So the question I ask you from a consciousness standpoint is, have you even thought about the year 2036? Have you meditated on that? Are you committed to that? Do you care about that? Because if you don't, if you follow the existing culture, then you become enamored with instant gratification and you're only thinking about the moment and getting through the moment and you're not thinking about the future. So when you get to the future, you'll have nothing prepared. There'll be nothing waiting for you, right? And the other thing too, I was talking to I don't know if I was talking to Kendall about it because I saw Kendall and Karen Green while I was up here, and I just I love Kendall and Karen. They're just amazing people, and I don't know if I was talking to them about it or if I was talking to my other new buddy Travis, who I met in the lobby of the hotel. But I was talking about meditating on the future versus the past. I said, it's really interesting. I said because think about it like this, right? If it's 2026, let me ask you this. How many of you feel like you can remember 2016 like it was yesterday? Give me a guess if you feel like, man, oh my God, 2016. I remember everything. It's like the time goes by so fast, right? It's easy. Give me a guess if you feel this way. Like it's very easy to look back in time and be like, yeah, there's 2016. Man, wow, if I had bought Nvidia back then, or if I had kept my Bitcoin, or Bitcoin, whoa, Bitcoin was $2,000. I could have bought a whole bunch of Bitcoin instead of wasting my money at the whatever, right? So the question that you have to do is you have to really go back and do. My sister does autopsies for a living, and so the analogy to me would be you have to go back and analyze the dead body, the broken dreams, the all the possibilities that got wasted, right? Like what the hell happened? I just blew $1 million opportunity because I could have just bought a little Bitcoin, held on to it, and I'd have a few $100,000 in my bank account. What happened here? Right? Where do dreams go when they die? So let me go analyze the dead body and think this through and say, how did this happen? Okay, what's going on here? So here's what's interesting is that while it's very easy in 2026 to look back toward 2016, it was really hard in 2016 to look forward to 2026. Right? Like seriously, give me a yes if you agree. Like in 2016, wasn't nobody really thinking about 2026 like that. I know I wasn't. I was thinking about 2016. This is not something I'm putting on you. It's not me wagging my finger and saying, what's wrong with you? It's me looking in the mirror and saying, what the hell's wrong with you, boys? I missed money too. We all did. So literally, isn't that interesting? Isn't that interesting? But here's the thing. I might be stupid, but I ain't dumb. So so here's the deal. Here's what I figured out. I said, okay, I get it now. So if I really want to just astronomically increase my wealth, I gotta, and while it's 2026, I gotta practice being able to visualize 2036. I gotta really see it. Know that it's coming. Just know that it's coming. Ain't nobody else thinking about 2036 right now. Nobody is thinking. Everybody's locked into 2026. Maybe you're thinking about 2027, but nobody's thinking about 2036. It's like this far off, distant, non-existent era that where we have flying cars and or I don't know, Martians live. I don't know, right? But it's like, no, no, no. I'm going to meditate. I'm going to sit down and visualize 2036. Maybe I'm going to sit down and say, okay, the 14-year-old child is going to be 24 years old. Uh, the 50-year-old man will be a 60-year-old man. Uh, my grandma, who's 72, is going to be 82 if she makes it that far, right? Whatever it is, right? You meditate on this, and then you really double down and commit to it. You grow up. You elevate your thinking to the point where you start thinking like an investor, where you say, okay, my goal is to own the year 2036. It's hard to own territory that's already occupied, right? So it might be hard for us to stake a claim in 2026 of what we want, but it's very easy to claim the future because nobody lives there. You're literally moving to a planet that's uninhabited, and you're getting there first. It's like the space race. Everybody's trying to get to the moon or trying to get to Mars because they want to get there first because ain't nobody there. Maybe in 200 years, there'll be millions of people on Mars, but right now, nobody's there. So whoever gets there first is going to have access to an infinite amount of wealth, power, and a head start that will be of infinite value relative to the competitors. Am I lying or am I telling the truth? Do you follow what I'm saying? Let me know you get what I'm saying here on this. Tell me if you're following this. Okay? Because this is a consciousness exercise. So if you can sit down, and here's the thing about this, this is not like you don't need a class for this. This is not something you learn in business school. This is not something that requires you to go read books. This requires you to get the ultimate source of knowledge, which is really inside yourself. This is literally a meditation exercise. But if you do this, if you can visualize 2036 and say, okay, it's 10 years away. I got to get ready. And you're like, okay, we're going to do some things to get through 2026, but we're going to make sure we put something to the side, break something off for 2030. So we're breaking something off for 2031, 32, 33, 34, right? We're going to make sure that we're getting ready for this future. Then I guarantee you, everybody in this room will be wealthy. You know how I know it? You know how I know it? Because in 2016, you knew about Bitcoin. In 2016, you knew about Apple stock. In 2020, 2016, you knew about all these companies that are out here that are killing it. You knew about opportunities in 26. You knew that house could have been bought for 250,000 that's now worth 600K. You knew these things. It's not like nobody told you. It ain't like that. Well, the white man blocked me from the information. Shut up. Stop that. Stop that. We ain't doing that no more. We got AI and cell phones and the internet. Stop. No, no, no more old excuses. Racism didn't make us blind in 2016. It was our own limitations as human beings. It was perhaps a lack of discipline. It was a decision, right? It was us choosing not to elevate, choosing not to be in growth mode. Growth mode is uncomfortable because you're changing, but no more excuses. Thank you, Emily. No more excuses. Do you get what I'm saying? Does everybody get what I'm saying? Give me some yeses in the chat so I'll know I did a good thing today. So I know that the message got through and that you're getting what I'm saying. If you can consciously visualize a future where you have made the preparation, where you have put the money to the side, you have made the investments, you have made the moves, everybody in this room becomes wealthy. And oh my God, black people actually doing well financially. That's not possible because of the racism. 'Cause ain't no white man never had that much power over me where he can stop me from doing nothing. Maybe 200 years ago, I get it. But in 2026, I haven't met a white person yet who has ever tried to stop me from using my PhD to talk about finances every single morning. I just haven't met the guy. So let's do this. Let's stop BSing. Let's talk to our family about it. Let's make a plan, make it happen. You got this. And if you need help, if you're trying to get started, we do have the 5-year pledge. The 5-year pledge is what I'm asking you to make a pledge to yourself that for 5 years you will, in a disciplined fashion, pick one of your bills, preferably your car note, and put that money into a stock portfolio for yourself and for your family and do it consistently. Do not sell, do not sell, do not sell. So don't invest more money than don't invest so much that you money that you're actually going to really need. Invest money that you can afford to put to the side for a while, and I guarantee you in 5 years you'll start to see a massive difference. There will be a big difference between your financial security and people around you. There'll be a big difference in your liquidity in the people around you, your ability to get things done versus the people around you, and that's what I want for you. So that's the baby step. Let's do the baby step. In 5 years, it'll be 2031. In 10 years, it'll be 2036. By 2036, everybody who does what we're talking about will be doing quite well financially. Very easy to do. If we could get 10 million of our people to do it, then the black community would become one of the richest communities on the entire planet. We'd be right up there with the Jewish community. Ain't no Jewish person got nothing on us. I taught Jewish kids at Syracuse University. I sent them to Wall Street. So stop acting like they got a magic secret sauce that we ain't got. No, they have culture, and then they that culture breeds discipline when it comes to finances, and that's why they own so much that they own. And I'm not even mad at them for it. Right. So anyway, with that being said, we'll make it happen. All right. So today, later on, stock market class meets. I'll share the link with you if you want to get the discount. Let me see. I'll share it here in the chat. So feel free to join us. We're actually going to meet today at noon, and with this link, you can actually the code word is dynastic because it's like for dynastic wealth. So use the code word dynastic, and I'll give you the link that should put the code in there automatically. And what it does, the annual fee for the stock market class is $9.99. This drops it to $2.89 for the next couple of days. So feel free to join us for class today at noon, and you can ask questions and all this other stuff. And or if you don't see the link, you can go to drboystockmarket.com. That's drboystockmarket.com. Use the code word dynastic, and you can get the discount, and then also the link as well for tonight's deep dive on silver. So we'll talk about not just how to succeed as it pertains to investing in silver, but how to do it safely. A lot of people think that you have to take penitentiary chances on your investments. I don't believe in that. If you know how to manage your risk, then it's very easy to block the downside and still participate in the upside. And I want to make sure you understand how to do that. And then someone's asking about the list of real estate investment trusts. So what I'll do is I'll give you that list as well. So I'll put that link in the chat as well. So feel free to share it with all your friends and family too. I hope you'll bring somebody else to church. And church has like bring a friend to church day. So bring a family member with you. If you believe in what's happening here and it's working for you, then let them know. It doesn't cost them anything to come in. They can just text the word morning to 87948 and just come in. And because what happens a lot of times, to be honest with you, is because there's a lot of scammers on the internet. There's a lot of people on the internet that don't know what they're talking about. There are a lot of people on the internet that have a different sort of agenda. It takes time for people to have trust. And I'm okay. I'm okay investing until you trust us. And then at some point, I do say, like, yeah, we got to raise money. Like, I'd like for you to help us as much as we're helping you, but let us help you first, and then circle back around and help us to strengthen the mission and build the institution because we're building the next great HBCU, and we will accomplish that. I've literally have left 75% of my personal wealth to the Black Business School. If I go outside and get hit by a milk truck on a Tuesday, my team is fully instructed on exactly what to do in the event that I'm not here. They will have a board, they will have funding, they will get 75% of my assets. The rest will go to wife and kids and everything. But everything, pretty much almost everything I have, the insurance policies, assets, everything goes back into the school's endowment. And my goal is to have the school be around for the next 500 or 600 years. So if you're with us, if you get what we're doing, and you agree with the philosophy, what I would ask you in advance is like if something does happen, like please, 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 let's keep this thing going. And don't do it for me. It's not about me. I want us to do it for us. Like, we as a people should be winning. We as a people can do anything we want. We cannot be stopped when we put our minds to it. So the same way we master basketball, football, boxing, rapping, everything else, we're going to master wealth. We will be the wealth masters of the future. The Black community, the B1 community, is going to be known throughout the world by the year 2070. It's going to take about maybe 3 decades to get there, but I guarantee you the kids are going to like take it to the next level, and that's how we're just really going to blow the roof off this sucker. So at that point, we're going to have to invest in weapons to protect the wealth, because they're going to come try to get it. So we got to be ready for that too. All right. So anyway, have a good day, everybody. God bless you. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you guys a little bit later. And have a wonderful day. Take care. Bye bye.